Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the most wonderful young lady that you will want to follow because she is happening, she gets things done, and she is amazing. You know how I feel about amazing. I met her actually through Ken Walls said we had to meet. I don't know, months and months and months ago, because we were both in the copier industry and she has her own company, or she did. You know, the thing is, she starts a company and she just holds on to them all. Yeah, she does. So it was called Quiz Inc., Quillz, formerly Office Support Systems, which I believe she bought from somebody, and she made that happen. And before that, it was a full-time CB. She started as an accountant. She has a eye for numbers. Women, men, get yourself a good accountant and learn it yourself because that will help you out. You need to know the numbers. It's all about the numbers. Numbers are black and white. Black and white, your numbers. She came up in an amazing way. She went to Oregon State University. She went to Mayhorse University. Ken Wall said that I should meet her, and we finally did meet. And then we met in person. We met in person April 6, 2024. And she was there supporting a friend of ours. You might have remembered my million prayers for Nick Ogilvy. Well, she went and got him and brought him to the event. It was a Ken Walls, Glenn Morshower event in Dallas, Texas. Yeah, I already knew Nick, but I got to meet Kayla and give her a hug in person. And she is here right now to tell us about her journey. You won't believe what she's doing. She's flipping houses. She is a mother. She is just divine. Without further ado, possibly we have Miss Kayla. And here she is, Miss Kayla Klink.
Hi.
Hello, darling. It's so wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes. Hi. It's nice to see you. Sorry, I'm having some technical issues, so if I just disappear, I'll be right back. I promise.
Stuff happens. Stuff happens. And you know, it's all good because you're here and we met and we hugged and we met in Dallas and it was wonderful. And she is freaking amazing, guys. And you know, the little reason that she might just like, because she is doing so many projects. And right now, her major projects is flipping houses.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you, do you want to start at the beginning or the end or where you are now?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea where to start. I don't know where I should even start. Yeah, um I actually spoke at a woman's like group conference 2-ish weeks ago, 2 Fridays ago. Um And I did go from start to finish with that because I was just like, if I just start right here, people are going to ask me, well, how'd you get there? And so, yeah, I guess the very condensed bullet point version is I was working, you know, a bunch of jobs from like 16 on and had an eye for inefficiencies. I actually got fired from my first job because I was not ever where I was supposed to be, which was at the host stand. But I was everywhere else because nothing else was going right. So I'd be like in the back helping the dishwasher wash dishes because they couldn't get food out because there was no clean dishes. And I would be helping servers run food because I'd watched food just sit in the window for a long time. But yeah, I actually got fired because they're like, your job is to be at the host stand. I'm like, but if nothing else is working, I can't seat people. So why would I be at the host stand?
That was California Pizza Kitchen, right? You were an ambassador there.
That was I was a community brand ambassador there, but that was actually at okay, it was called Newport Bay when I started working there. Then it got changed to Portland Seafood Company, I think is what it was called.
Ooh, I love seafood.
Yes. Terrible job, like in a mall. Just really like seafood in a mall though is not good seafood.
Yeah, I don't usually get it there, yes.
But I was 16 and I was just like trying to make things work and it wasn't working. So
Brilliant at
I
16. Look at her already jumping in and helping. Look at that, 16 years old. Think about that,
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
but here's the honest truth about that. It made me a really bad employee. Because they'd be like, here's your job duties. And I'd be like, but all these other things aren't working. So it's really hard for me to do my job if all this other stuff is broken. Right. So I'm a bad employee in that way because I have a hard time doing exactly what I'm told. I want to kind of just do my own thing and make it work correctly. So I'm great at being an entrepreneur because I can find my own systems and my own efficient way of doing it. And then I hire people out, I train them, and then I move on to the next company. So that's what we've done that's basically what we've been building basically for about 10 years, almost 10 years.
Woohoo! That's a beautiful thing. And along the way, meanwhile, her background is in business and accounting. She has degrees in that.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to Oregon State University.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's doing flips. She's had, well, last count I know is like 17 flips, but you're probably above that by now.
We actually just closed on our 20th flip.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Okay. Did I not tell you she's a mover and a shaker? Okay, guys, people who are doing flips, you definitely want to follow her. She's got a podcast. No, you got a course, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in it, she actually will talk through how she did it. So you can like go, she'll go, why don't you tell about it?
Okay. Yeah, this was fun. So Nick and I partnered on this because Nick is amazing at putting classes together and the engineering behind that. And I'm not good at that stuff, but I'm good at
Yes.
flipping. So
Yeah.
Nick and I did this together. And
Woo.
what our goal was to actually teach people how to flip. The thing is Nick and I really wanted true value in this. And there's these other people that are like, I guarantee you that you'll be profitable on your first flip if you do this. No, I mean, it's just not possible to guarantee that because you don't know what's going to come up on a house. So my goal was to just be like, look, here's like flipping in the most rawest form. You can see exactly what it looks like. And we actually hired a film crew to follow us through one of the houses. That would have been, I guess, like the 16th or 17th flip. And
Really?
so it's a 7-chapter course and it goes through each, basically how you can acquire flips to figuring out the financing. I talk a lot about hard money loans. I talk a lot about how you can refinance it and keep it. And then it goes into, purchasing it, planning it, and then the actual stages of hiring the contractors, what has to be done when. That's one thing I've seen a lot with people that are first time flippers. You figure this out pretty quick, but they do stuff way out of order and it costs a lot of money and it costs a ton of time. And a lot of time you have to go back and redo things you've already paid for. So I have a whole chapter literally just lining out how you do it and what order you go in. And then we talk about staging and things you can do just that are little touches that cost very little money, very little time, but it means a ton to buyers. So that's what the course is. And it's fun because we did like on that specific house, we had the film crew, but I also did a hands-on class and I had people like coming out with me and watching us do it. And 2 weeks in, there was a guy, and I mean, they paid us. Like they paid us to do this because this is taking a lot of my time to like walk these people through and keep them informed and keep them updated, right? And within like 2 weeks, I had one guy who was like, you can keep my money, but you already showed me I don't want to do this. So he walked away.
Brilliant thing to
But
find out before you invest a lot of money.
well, right. And that was my whole goal was like, look, I want people to see this because anybody can flip. I mean, truly, anyone can, but you just have to be prepared for all the stuff that's about to go down, because it is not what HGTV makes it look like at all. And so I wasn't offended. I actually felt like I was very validated when he did that, because in my mind, I'm like, I provided him value. Like, I showed him this is what this looks like, right? And
Right.
he paid me a very small amount compared to the cost of going and buying an entire house to flip. And then realizing, oh, I don't want to do this, but now I own a property and I've invested tens of thousands of dollars into it, and now I'm stuck. Whereas with me, he's like, okay, I'm done. I washed my hands and I'm out. So it worked out, actually.
So for our ladies and gentlemen in the audience who don't know what flipping is, just in case.
Flipping houses. We flip houses. Yeah. No, it's a lot of work. We have found our niche in buying houses that are generally around 1,000 square feet. So they're small houses, and they're like borderline needing to be condemned. And so they're like the worst of the worst, tiny little houses. But we've really found a niche in that, and we can get them. We can flip them from start to finish in about 12 weeks.
Whew, that's a beautiful thing. And you're providing a service and you're providing a home for someone, and you're taking care of a property that probably would be condemned, burnt, thrown out, or become a place of where you don't want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Grace
We
has joined us. Thank you,
want
Grace. I love you.
neighborhoods look, you know, good. So yeah,
It
we
is.
really enjoy it.
How did you stumble into this? You are a woman that can do so many things. How did you land on flipping houses?
It was kind of years in the making, but we had no idea that that's what was happening. Like, we didn't know we were getting prepared for that, but that's for sure what God was doing, because we look back and we're like, oh, there's all these things that happened that we just didn't even realize that's what was going on. So we had my husband was building cabinets. This is
Dan.
like way back, okay? This is like 10 years ago. He was literally just in a shop building cabinets. And that led to him being in project management. Hold on. He was working for a property restoration company as a project manager. Sorry. So these were like houses that had fire damage, flooded, maybe the toilet leaked upstairs, now their whole house flooded. And so his company, I'm sorry, it was weird for a second. His company that he worked for did everything. They'd go in and basically clean out these houses that had just been flooded or halfway burnt down or whatever. So he was a project manager assistant, then he got moved to project manager, and then COVID hit. We lived in Portland, Oregon, where,
Oh,
everything closed. And so he got laid off, and it was like right as COVID was happening. So it was really hard to find another job. You couldn't go into other houses, and you couldn't do, like, if he was a contractor, he couldn't go into someone's house. Everything was closed. Restaurants were closed. Stores were only allowing one person. So it's like, where are you going to get a job? He was applying for jobs, but there were so many restrictions at that time. He was having a hard time. I had been working, and this is, again, it's like you have to go back quite a few years to get to that point. But I was working on my bachelor's degree. Danny was working for that cabinet guy. So I'm rewinding from before this restoration company. He was working for that cabinet guy, and that cabinet guy had not filed his taxes for 7 years.
oh dear.
And he was like, I know you're not an accountant, but I can't afford to pay a CPA to get all this prepared. And I know you're getting your degree in accounting. So can you help me with this? And I was like, I guess. I was like 21 and had a newborn. We had our son when I was 21. And
Yes.
I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to figure it out. And so I did. I literally manually entered 7 years of transactions for him and got it ready for the CPA. So while that was happening, I was looking for a job where I could take my son with me, and I found a nanny job. So they hired me as their nanny, and within a few weeks, for some reason, I brought up what I was doing for my husband's boss, getting all these taxes ready to my new boss. And I just worked, at their house, and I didn't quite know what they did, but they were very well off. They had a lot of money. And I was just there to basically be like a household manager, watch the kids, pick up the kids, help with groceries, keep the house clean, etc. Because that was just, I had to have a job where I was making money, but daycare was expensive. And so it was like, what's the point of going and getting a job elsewhere when I have to pay for daycare? So that's why I had looked for this nanny job. Well, a few weeks into that, I, for some reason, brought up the situation with my husband's boss, and she was like, we need someone to help us with our books. We've
Ooh,
never done bookkeeping before. And so she went on to explain how they had a ton of rental properties and her husband flipped houses.
brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. So they had some other businesses as well. But I mostly was dealing with all of the properties, and it was a lot of work. And it was also a lot of work because they hadn't had a system in place. And I'm trying to find the best way to put this because they were really great people. The husband was maybe not the most organized person, but you also have to realize like he was driving all the way up to where their houses were, which was 4 hours away. He would be there for days at a time and get a ton of stuff done. It was unrealistic for me to expect him to have a receipt for every single transaction. But it also made it hard for me to always know what everything was or what house it was dedicated to, whatever. So there was a lot of learning because I was basically creating a system for them to put in place to track everything. And in some ways, and I don't mean this in any kind of rude way, but in some ways, I actually learned a lot of what not to do, because of how hard it was to actually keep a way of tracking everything. So I was super, super like blessed to even have that job because it was way above my level, to be honest with you. But it let me learn how to do all this stuff. So, fast forward now, Danny is at the property restoration. I'm no longer working for them. I had taken over the printing business. And
Mhm.
so this is like, I don't know, 2 years later or something after I'd worked for them when Danny got laid off. And I still own, I'm owning the printing business, but there's not very much for him to do within that. And all his background's construction. And I jokingly said, we should just start flipping houses. And he was like, it's not a bad idea because the COVID restrictions don't restrict us from doing that. And so we started looking in April of 2020 and we found our first house to flip in May of 2020.
Woo.
So, like 4 years later, almost exactly 4 years later, we had bought our 20th flip, which
Woo.
was last week or the week before. So, it's
Ah,
crazy. It's all very like if I look at the timeline, it's pretty crazy to see. It's very intricate and like this happened and it led to this and then this happened and it led to this and now we are here.
as Eric B. Flanor says, scores. And it takes what? It takes working. It takes believing in yourself. It
Mhm.
takes trust. Hi there, Alex. Nice to see you. It takes moving forward. It takes hard work. It takes dedication. It takes being true to yourself. It takes relationship capital.
Yeah.
And there's Nick. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Oh, love you, baby. How you doing? He's amazing. You're amazing. Your whole family's amazing. Everyone that you touch is amazing. And there are so many lessons here. Um, and Grace Cavalieri says, nice body art too.
Thank you.
And Grace has excellent taste. She is a poet laureate here in Maryland, and
Mm.
she's 92 years old, and she appreciates your tattoos. Is she not a forward-thinking woman?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
She's amazing. She works
Great.
every day. She has our same spirit of just going out and getting it done no matter what it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have two children now, though. You have two children. You left out. Let me see.
Wesley.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So Wesley's gonna be 8 and Stella's gonna be 4.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. So here's a time management question.
Okay.
How you do
I
that?
know what you're gonna ask.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you got
so
Danny, you got this, you got that, you got that, you got that. How do you take
we
care of yourself?
we sacrifice sleep. Sleep
I've
is
been
what we
doing
sacrifice.
that. Not so good.
Yeah.
Grace does that. Not so good. We gotta go back to the sleep thing.
Well, it's, we're young, we have a lot of energy, and here's the thing. It's like I do a lot of what I do for my kids. I don't want to have to work for forever and ever. I want to be able to spend time with them, right? And so for me, it's more of I'm investing the time now so I don't have to, so I'm not forced to spend the time later working. And by doing that, I don't want to sacrifice time with them now. I don't want to be the mom that's on my computer all the time and on my phone all the time. Like, this is actually out of the ordinary. She was like, "Why are you working? It's nighttime." I'm like, "I know, but I have to go and do this for a little bit." And so, which is obviously fine. I'm so happy to be here. But we really try very hard. Stella's actually
Stella's
30.
actually
Yeah.
30, and it sounds like she is.
Stella is basically 30 because if you knew, she is a lot. So she's 3. She's about to be 4, and she's got bright red hair. Like,
Oh,
bright
really?
hair. Yes.
Oh.
So my son kept messing with her the other day. He'd like go poke her or kind of like put his foot on her foot, and she kept telling him, "Stop, Wesley, stop. Wesley, I'm telling you to stop." So she comes in the kitchen and got a fork. I was like, "What are you doing with that?" And she's like, "I'm gonna go take care of Wesley." So yeah, she's like full attitude, for sure going on 30, like Nick said, not afraid of anything, has no problem just like taking care of it. There was a boy that hit her at school. This was months ago. I don't remember if he hit her or he kicked her or something. But they were like, "So just so you know, Stella was kicked or whatever happened. Maybe she was bit. I don't remember." And I was like, "Oh, is she okay?" And they're like, "She's fine." But she basically took the kid that hurt her to the ground and was hitting him in the face. I was like, "Well, I'm not upset about it. Sorry."
Yeah.
He shouldn't have come and hurt her. But no, she's a lot. She's a handful. She's so funny. And Wesley is super, super smart. So he is like crazy IQ. He's actually on the spectrum. So he has a very, very interesting way of thinking. And oftentimes I'll have some kind of issue that I will be talking about out loud, and he'll be like, "Why don't you just do this?" I'm like,
Mm.
"Oh my gosh, that's a great idea, actually." I didn't even think about that. So he's awesome. He's very funny. He loves to build Legos. Legos are life. I've asked the grandparents to all donate a Lego set a month because I cannot afford to keep buying Legos.
At this
Uh,
time.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, you asked me how we manage the time, and really we sacrifice sleep. So I don't want to sacrifice time with my kids. And so we'll put them to bed and then I'll go and keep working. I wake up pretty early. I usually wake up at 5 and do a lot of my computer work. So I have a bookkeeping business that's like
Of course
was
you do.
supposed to be on the side, and it's turned into like a full-blown bookkeeping business. So I do a lot of my bookkeeping stuff in the morning before everybody wakes up.
And while
Yeah.
your brain cells are still firing on all cylinders.
Yes. Yeah.
So you have
Bookkeeping.
quiet time
The
so you can think, take care of that.
Yeah.
Then the children get up and you do breakfast and send them to school if it's school time.
Mhm. Yep.
And then you go take care of yourself for 5 minutes, shower, get dressed, get more beautiful. And then
Yeah.
you go to flip
Go to
houses or you go back to your
night.
computer. What happens? Actually, they're not really going to school. So Stella, well, 4. So she was
Stella
there
goes to daycare.
defending herself.
Yeah, no, Stella goes to daycare. Wesley has a bunch of summer camps he's doing this summer. And if not, he's chill. He's just like home and he just chills. He's not really like he's fine. Stella, I couldn't have here. I mean, right, like if she was even here right now, she'd be screaming. My husband actually took her and like left. I do this call. So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate you.
It's fine. They're having a little dinner date together, so it's good.
Oh, that's
But
wonderful.
yeah,
You get
so
father-daughter dinner dates. And then if you didn't think that was enough, ladies and gentlemen, she's also the owner and CEO of Klink Books.
yeah,
What does that do?
that's the bookkeeping business.
Oh, that's your bookkeeping business. I was thinking books as in you were also doing like writing books, authoring books, publishing books.
Nick tells me to write a book. Ken
And
has
I
told
agree.
so I will get to that at some point.
And I think you have a whole vast number of subjects to choose from.
Yeah,
Which one would you choose first?
I have no idea. I don't know. I would probably do something that's just like, oh, trust the process maybe. I feel like I've like accepted giving up control and I kind of just like I just let things slide into place how it's supposed to go.
And the universe always takes care of you when you have the right intentions and work hard.
Yep, exactly. There's been so many times where I'm like, well, this was not what I wanted to happen, but I'm going to just let it play out like
Yeah.
something. And what's crazy to me is every time I truly give that control up, like I truly am just like, I've got the faith that this will be fine. It always comes out better than what I was wanting or what I had intended for it to happen. You know what I mean? It's always better. And
Yes.
so I'm just like, whatever, it'll be fine. I don't really know what's going to happen, but it'll be okay. So it
Yeah.
always happens that way. So I
Well,
don't know. I don't know if I would talk about trusting the process. I'm a big person on I'm curious if Nick's going to have something to say about this. I'm a big person on like no excuses. Like I have no patience for it and it's kind of a I'll give second chances, but I don't have time to deal with
drama.
drama. That's the most professional word. I'm trying real hard to not cuss right now. But yeah, I have very little patience for it. And so that's another one. And I actually spoke at a conference last year about that. And that was my title, No Excuses. There's very few things that I just, and I don't mean on like a day to day, I'm late because I take my daughter to daycare. Like, I don't care about that. That's fine. You can be 10 minutes late, whatever. I mean on like a way bigger scale. When you've got someone who is like, well, I wish that I had, the thing that you have. Okay, well, you go to Starbucks like 15 times a day. So stop spending all this money at Starbucks and then maybe you can have the money to have a nicer car. It's things like that where it's just I like to talk to women about sort of this is going to sound a little bit harsh potentially, but I like talking to women and it's men too, but men can figure it out themselves. I like investing into women and making them kind of look in themselves, like, why do you have these issues? What can you change? And a lot of times they don't want to hear that, right? But it's like, well, there's things you can do to change that. And yes, things happen out of my control that negatively affect me every single day.
Mhm.
Every day I'm dealing with it. But again, it's like there is no excuse for you to not try harder to get to whatever it is that you want. So that's probably what I would want to write about. I just have to be very careful because I know that that can be like this hot button for people.
Well, we're on the same wavelength. As a matter of fact, on Friday, I'm going to Philadelphia to do a talk, and I labeled it, um, it's 36 women, I believe, in a book club, and I labeled it, "Has your crown tilted?"
Mm, yeah, I
And
love
going
that.
into, taking ownership,
Yeah,
that just happened. Okay, so move on. That's a Glenn Morshower little thing. Like, that's old, that's new, goodbye, and go.
yeah, yep, exactly. It's like just move on, keep going. And it's not that it's not hard or that it doesn't hurt or it's not frustrating. Like, I mean, right before this, I was on with you and my computer audio wasn't working even though I was just on a Zoom. But like, what was I going to do? Not get on. So now here I am on my phone. Maybe the camera's not as good. I can't do a fun, fancy background like I can do on my computer. Maybe I can, but I didn't have the time to figure it out. But like you were saying, it's like we're amazing. We can do this. It's going to be fine, right? And you just
Right.
move on. That happened. It's gone, and here we are. We're good. So people just get so caught up and it's like just move on. It's happened, it's over. There's nothing we can do to fix it.
And then
Keep going.
keep your brain going in the right direction. So
Right.
don't like tell the story again, just go.
Yes,
Don't waste
exactly.
those brain cells. Don't waste that energy. Move it
Yes,
forward. Put it into the next project.
yes.
So discuss the role of risk taking in your career and why you believe it's essential for learning and growth. Risk taking. You're taking everything you do is a risk. Every flip is a risk.
Oh yeah.
That picture of you in the well in the bottom of that house. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Why was I the only woman on site crawling around under the house when there was like 15 men? That's another fun question we could talk about, right? No, that was super cool. I was under there and I heard dirt fall. That's what happened. I heard dirt fall and I was like, where's it going? Dirt is not supposed to fall right now. And so one of the guys handed me a flashlight and yeah, there was a well. Super cool. It was really, really cool. That house was built in 1928
Oof.
and I posted that on Facebook. I don't know if you saw the comment. I know you asked me a question about risk and I'll answer it, but I just have to say this because this is like so cool to me. Someone commented on it and I don't exactly know where his expertise came from, but he was determining how old the well was based off the erosion of the bricks. And what he was
Mm,
explaining was they were so eroded, but they from basically natural elements, but they couldn't have been eroded like that while under the house. And so he was saying it probably was 50 to 75 years older than the house because it had been exposed to wind and rain, etc. And so yeah, I mean that well was like 150, 175 years old, which I just think is so crazy that
very
we
cool.
found under our house.
History.
Yeah. Yeah. So Danny and I are super into that. We like to go through all of our houses before work starts and find little random things, and we'll look in the attic and find little trinkets, and we keep them. So,
Nick says, "Who's buried there?"
of course, he says that.
Oh,
Actually,
he's got a sense of humor. You got to have humor, or else you're not going to make it through.
actually, I have a story about that. We
Yeah.
had a house. We wanted to replace the fence. This is a very long story, so I'm giving you the very fast condensed
It's
version.
okay. You got a
And
few.
we actually lost this, and it did get legal, and we lost. This was an old fence, old, like it was falling over. The people next to us, their family had owned this house for 75, 80 years or something crazy. And basically what was determined was this fence was like 4 or 5 feet over on our property line. So it needed to go back over. And I offered, I'll put a new fence up. I'm not going to ask y'all to pay for it. Like, we'll do it. But it needs to be on the actual property line, because we're basically losing 5 feet all the way down our property that's ours, because this fence is all the way over here. Well, it turns out for the last however long, they had all buried their pets there
Oh,
on the fence line
oh,
for decades and decades and decades. So we had to put the new fence up a foot over. So we lost like 6 feet total because we couldn't interfere with their pet burials.
that was very, very sweet of you.
Well, it would have been pretty awful to do that. And
Yeah.
then for the new buyers, they would have had to deal with these neighbors who are heartbroken because all the pets are buried on our side.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Boy, you got
It's
some
crazy.
interesting stories in there.
Yeah. We have a new story and a new thing on every house that we haven't dealt with before.
And that keeps you growing and excited and enjoying it, right?
Most of the time.
Mm,
Yes.
mm. I can't imagine the stuff you have to deal with, because I heard that you don't do the ones where they come and inspect and you have to get a permit for because of all the red tape, but yet all of your houses are the best quality and checked into and all the standards are met.
We do the big stuff we permit, because I need to be able to prove to a buyer that we did it correctly. And so we will permit that. But if I have a house where I'm just going in and doing basic stuff, I'm not pulling a permit, because the second a city inspector comes in there, they're gonna say, well, that's not to code, and well, okay, we're not touching that, but they still make you bring it to code.
And
So,
the
you
house
know,
that's been there and been operating in that manner for the last 10, 15 years or more.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What legacy do you hope to leave through your work and all your various businesses that you're in?
Honestly, I don't really know the answer to legacy, but I know that I don't want my kids to have to do all the things I had to do when I was 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, just like trying to survive. When my husband and I met, I lived in my car in the mall parking lot. And, it was just a really hard time. And obviously, it all worked out, and I'm super thankful for that. And I will not raise spoiled children, but I just don't want them to ever be that stuck that that's their only solution, is to live in their car and to shower at the gym in the college that they're going to. And I had to like befriend people in the food court so that I could get food, each day. And it was just very I learned the art of hustling during that time, and I'm very good at hustling now, and so I'm very thankful for that, and I wouldn't change it. But that motivates me to leave something for my kids that can become generational wealth. So that really is my goal. Um, in everything that I do, it's for my kids.
I understand that perfectly.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's next on your dream list?
Um, Tentatively, we're hoping to start new construction this year. We've done one new construction,
Right.
and
The one that
it was
burned down or
hot.
whatever. Yes. And you found so they found this house and the attic was all burnt, right? And then you had to tear it down completely. Is that what that one?
We did have a house that was completely burnt. Yes. This was not that house, actually. We were
Oh,
able to,
good. It's a nice
yeah.
clean slate.
This was a house in Oregon that we bought. It was just going to be a super fast flip. It was a tiny little bungalow. And in Portland, that's like a big deal to buy like a cute little 500 square foot house. Well, we bought the house and ripped up the floors to find that the house itself, like the literal walls, were sitting directly on the dirt. There was no sill plates, there was no concrete border, there was nothing. It was literally sitting on dirt. And I mean, could you have fixed it? Sure, but you would be lifting up this 100-year-old house to pour a foundation and dig it out, which would have cost more than what we paid for the house. And so I think, and I actually think that the city, for some reason, showed up. Like, we didn't have an inspection scheduled. This was our second flip ever. This was literally our second one this happened. And so I can't quite remember why the city was there, but they did condemn it after we bought it, condemned it.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Our
And then
second.
you rose to the occasion and
And we did a new build. We're like, well, we're going to figure it out.
yeah, because that's what she does, ladies and gentlemen, just
Yeah.
like you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did, and we actually made money. We made like a good amount of money on that one. And so we love flipping, but we still want to get into the new construction world. So that's what we're kind of thinking about doing right now.
Sounds like a good one, and it sounds like something that your passion is going for,
Yeah.
especially with all this background information that you have gathered and your
Right.
willingness to do whatever it takes to get her
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Where are your favorite places to visit? Have you only been in Texas? You're in Texas now. You were in Oregon. Where do you want to go visit? What do you want to do? Where are your favorite places?
So we're actually going to go to Washington, D.C. June
Oh,
20th.
you'll come see me.
Yes. Yeah. Super excited. That was my son's request. I said,
Right.
where do you
We started
go?
talking about this way back when we first started chatting.
Yeah. I
Woohoo!
said, I want to go
When
on
is that?
vacation. He wanted to go to DC. I'm like, you don't want to go to like Hawaii or Mexico. No, I want to go see all the Abraham Lincoln Memorial, and I want to have a tour of the White House. I'm like, okay.
Awesome
So
sauce.
that's
Yeah.
what we're doing. Yeah. Um, my husband and I are hoping to do Europe in February. It's our 10-year anniversary. So we're wanting to do Europe or something. I really want to, I love exploring culture and just seeing how other people live. I think that is just so fun to just see the differences in the world. So that's the next goal. We love going to the West Coast. That's home. That is home to us. But
How often do you go back home?
we go back every summer, and we usually are gone for like 3 weeks. So we'll do Oregon, Washington, like northern Washington, and then go down to Southern California.
That's a nice little trip. Beautiful drive.
Yeah.
So, how has your role with your faith played in your personal and professional life? Because I know that you're very devoted.
I wouldn't be here without it. I mean, it's really pretty simple to me. It might not be simple from the outside, but I mean, I literally don't know how I could be here without it. And I do not have some big fancy story to tell you about when I became a Christian, or like, I don't remember. I just remember even like living in my car, being in my car, I'd get mad at God. Like, I'd get mad at him and feel like, why is this happening to me? But I was a teenager, I didn't really know anything other than that he was there. Like, I knew that he was there. But now as an adult, like, I don't get mad at him. Even, I mean, we've been in some really bad situations in the last few years, and I don't get mad. It's more that it's like, well, I don't really know what you're doing, but I guess I'll just wait and see what happens, right? So, and something I had to learn and accept, and I'm okay with it now. It was hard in the moment, but something I did have to learn and accept is sometimes God uses us to benefit someone else.
Mm.
right? And we have to go through it, and it's hard and it sucks. But I've seen it. I mean, I've literally watched it happen where the this is where I really was able to kind of turn a corner in my faith and just 100% trust like whatever he's doing is better than whatever my plan is. And I also want to preface something because really quick before I keep going. I don't want to seem like one of those religious crazy people that goes to church 100% of the time and I follow all these religious rules and like I promise you I don't. I'm covered in tattoos. I cuss all the time on job sites and basically everywhere. Like I'm not one of those people. I actually could care less about all the rules that really America has created for people to follow that are not actually from the Bible at all. If you read the Bible and you truly listen to what he's preaching to us, like Jesus and God preach to us to have a relationship with him and to love other people. That's it. Like, move on. If it's a sin because I have tattoos, God's going to talk to me about it when I go there. If it's a sin that I'm cussing, God's going to talk to me about it. But this idea that you have to just follow these bullet pointed rules, I just don't agree with that. Like, should you go murder someone? No, don't go do that, please. I'm just saying it's to me so much more important to have the relationship with him and teach my kids about the relationship with him. And so, anyways, I just wanted to say that really quick because I know I've talked about this before and I can tell when people think, oh, she's like one of those that goes to church every single Sunday and she volunteers there. No, I'm not one of those people at all. I have a very strong relationship and a really strong faith with God and with Jesus. And to me, that's all that I have to say. But there was a turning point where we were financially in a really, really bad spot and we had 3 houses listed. I got kind of screwed over by the real estate agent we were using, and we got stuck with the house we thought was about to sell. Not just sell, but the lady was supposed to move into it. So I actually had my tenants move out, who were paying the $3,800 mortgage we had on that house. Had them move out to find out the contract was written basically wrong, is short version. The lady backed out, didn't move here to rent it or buy it. So we were stuck with that house, $4,000 almost a month mortgage, and another house that had a huge mortgage. We had cleared our rental account because we did all these repairs to the house that was supposed to sell. So we had no money in that account. We had no money in our business account because the flip we had a ton of extra stuff wrong with it. So we're basically putting out almost $13,000 a month in mortgages. And we were not bringing that in. So we just, every resource we had, every credit card was maxed out. Our bank account, I mean, I was paying my mortgage on the 15th of every month, like just scavenging to find money. And my husband, when we're not flipping, he'll do some cabinet jobs like on the side just because he needs to obviously stay busy. So his mom died completely unexpectedly, wasn't sick, totally healthy. We had just seen her 3 weeks before, totally unexpectedly passed away. So we canceled all his jobs that he had. And we were actually in the middle of buying a flip and we had already paid our earnest money. And we walked away from it because it was just too much. We just couldn't do it. Well, like it was just such a shock to lose her. And so we already were in a bad position. And then we basically cancel all these other things that are supposed to bring us more income. And I was just like, I was not angry with God, but I was just like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I can't see it. This has been 6 months. And like, if something doesn't happen in basically 2 weeks, I mean, we're going to have to sell our own house and I'm going to have late mortgage payments. I mean, I just don't know what we're going to do here. And again, grief is very weird,
Mhm.
especially when it's someone that close and when it's unexpected, because you almost kind of just feel like you almost just want to give up. It's like, what's the point? And that's how we felt for a couple weeks there, where it was just like very, very hard. So I get a call from my neighbor, and he said, "Is that house still for sale?" Because I didn't hire a new agent. I had basically just gone and like posted about my houses that I had for sale on all these local pages. So he called me and he's like, "Is your house for sale? I've got a friend moving here. He really needs to find something that works for his family in this price range that's X, square feet, all the things, right? And he's coming here to plant a church." And it was like, oh my gosh. I actually almost I didn't laugh, but I think in my head I did, because it was just like, really? God, like, are you for real right now? That's what you've been doing all this time?
Yeah.
So we this is the coolest story. So I felt a little sketchy doing it unrepresented, like without an agent. So I found I have a very good friend. Her and I and my husband and her husband, we actually all went through like a marriage group together. And she was in this program with her. This I really want to tell this whole story, because this was a huge turning point with my faith. So she is a real estate agent now. She was in some program with the brokerage she was at, where she had to get 6 points, is what they called it, to graduate to the next program. Well, they there was something like they were getting rid of that program she was in, and if she didn't get to the 6 points, she basically was getting cut from that brokerage. And there's some other stuff that is involved in this that I'm not going to share because it's personal details to her, but there was some other things that were kind of happening at that same time. And anyway, I called her and was like, "Hey, I don't have a ton of money to pay on this. Like, I can't pay a 6%. I've basically forked out $40,000 on this house, but like, would you want to help me?" I had no idea about this whole point thing at the time. Well, this house, so I had her start helping me and him, where it was like a dual whatever. That only lasted for about 3 days, because she was like, "This is really not like legally the way we're supposed to do this, but I have a friend who's in the same program as me, and we both need this point. Like, this is the last point we need, or whatever. And we'll do it for the same price. We don't want any more money. This will help us just get graduated from this program." So I introduced, and then I'm thinking, this guy doesn't even know me. The guy that's buying it, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know my friend. He doesn't know her friend. I don't know her friend. Is he even going to want to have this random lady represent him? Oh, yeah, he was totally fine with it. All good. So he gets represented by her. I'm represented by my friend. So they both were able to graduate because of this house. My friend has now done, like, I think in the last couple months, she's closed on like 5 or 6 deals just in the last couple months, because it's just so cool to see. And he bought the house. The guy bought the house. He's planning a church here, right here in Salina.
Wow.
And her friend graduated too. And so it's like, all that struggle that God had us go through, and now it's not just, oh cool, we got to sell the house and it put us in a better position. Like, all these other people we just got to watch benefit because we had this struggle. And so I'm not going to tell you I get excited when bad things are happening, but there's a part of me that's like, "Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen here. What's God going to do with this one?" So sorry, I feel like I just talked for a super long time there, but I love telling people that story, because I'm like, y'all, we were like looking at, I was Googling bankruptcy options. I was literally to that point. Like, what are, how are we going to just get through this? And then, there you go.
Caleb, that is a beautiful story.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful
I
story.
love telling that story.
It's a beautiful story. It can be in one of your books.
Yes.
Well, we are almost at the top of the hour here. What are your favorite song, your favorite color, what your kids' favorite game is, favorite TV show, movie?
My favorite color is teal.
Ah, me too.
My daughter's favorite color is rainbow because she doesn't want to choose. My son's favorite color is blue and green. And Danny and I are huge Game of Thrones fans. We've actually rewatched it from start to finish 7 times. So there's that.
Yes, that is so fabulous. And I could have been in a movie with the little guy, and I said no. And now I'm like, just say yes, folks. Just say yes. It will work out. Just do it. Oh, Kayla, you are absolutely delightful. It was so fun. Anyone have any questions? You can put them up. And meanwhile, Eric B. Flanora says, amen. We are all vessels.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you, everyone that attended. Share it out. Tell your friends. Kayla, what is your email or website for people to reach out to you so Eric can put it up on the screen for us?
Email is KALAM, like Marie, Klink, KLINK @gmail.com.
So if you have any questions later on, you can put that email on your brain and put it in. Meanwhile, she is on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and you can find her. You can always find someone when you know that they're the right person to help you. So if you do flips globally, just in the US, just in Oregon and Texas?
Just in Texas, yeah. And Texas. I mean, we did it in Oregon, but now currently just in Texas.
Because she lives in Texas and doesn't want to leave Wes and Stella and Danny and Nick and their whole family.
Yeah.
So wonderful. You have built a beautiful community for you there. The angels are on your side. Everyone's looking out for you. You listen to your whispers. You're an amazing young lady. Thank you so much for joining us on the Cynthia Manion Show today. Thank you, everybody. And you are amazing. I am amazing. We are amazing. See you next Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Thank you.